2027 is not a prophecy, not astrology, not conspiracy theory. 2027 is what happens when you run the numbers, when you follow the mathematics to its inevitable conclusion, when you acknowledge that kicking the can down the road only works until you hit a wall, and we're about to hit the wall, $315 trillion. That's global debt, not billion. Trillion, with a T, that's 3 times the entire world's annual economic output. Every human on Earth would need to work for 3 full years, produce everything they make, hand it all over to creditors, and only then would the debt be paid. Except it won't be paid, can't be paid, never will be paid, because we added $155 trillion in just the last 16 years. The hole isn't getting smaller, it's accelerating. This isn't sustainable, everyone knows it. Central bankers know it, politicians know it, the math screams it, but nobody says it because saying it triggers the collapse they're trying to prevent. So they pretend, they kick the can, they print more money, they lower rates, they buy time, and they all know that time is running out. The question isn't if the system breaks, the question is when. And the answer, according to the convergence of debt mathematics, demographic collapse, pension insolvency, and dollar reserve status erosion, is 2027. That's when 4 separate catastrophes hit simultaneously. That's when the can meets the wall. This is finance through time. And this is why 2027 isn't fear-mongering. It's forensic accounting. Every debt cycle follows 6 stages, every single one throughout history. The pattern is mathematical, predictable, unavoidable once you enter the cycle. Stage 1, productive borrowing. You borrow to build infrastructure, factories, schools, things that generate future returns exceeding the debt cost. This is legitimate investment. Stage 2, speculative borrowing. You borrow for consumption, lifestyle, non-productive spending. The returns start declining, but debt keeps growing. Stage 3, Ponzi borrowing. You borrow just to pay interest on existing debt. New loans don't fund anything productive. They just prevent default on old loans. The debt spiral begins. Stage 4, financial repression. Central banks manipulate rates below inflation, keep borrowing costs artificially low, silently transfer wealth from savers to debtors through negative real interest rates. This is where we are now. The game in stage 4 is simple. Print money, keep rates low, inflate away the debt. Make the burden lighter by destroying the currency's purchasing power. Savers get crushed. Inflation erodes their wealth, but the system survives another day. This is the stage where middle-class savings evaporate, where your bank account loses purchasing power annually, where inflation runs higher than interest rates, guaranteeing real losses for anyone holding cash or bonds. It's a wealth transfer from responsible savers to over-leveraged governments and corporations. And everyone pretends it's normal, calls it monetary policy, necessary stimulus, temporary measures, except it's been going on for over a decade, since 2008 actually. Stage 4 has lasted longer than any previous cycle in history because the debt is larger than any previous cycle in history. But stage 4 can't last forever. The mathematics break down, inflation gets too obvious, currency loses too much value too quickly. People notice their purchasing power vanishing. They demand change. They lose confidence. That's when stage 5 begins. And we're approaching the transition, the point where financial repression stops working because nobody believes the promises anymore. 2027 is the year when 4 mathematical walls converge. 4 separate unsustainable trajectories hit their breaking point simultaneously. Not because of prophecy, because of arithmetic. Wall 1, debt service costs. The United States alone pays over $1 trillion annually just on interest. Not principal, not paying down debt, just interest. That exceeds defense spending, exceeds Medicare. It's the second largest budget item after Social Security, and that's with artificially suppressed rates. If rates normalize to historical averages, if yields hit 6 or 7%, interest payments consume half the federal budget. Literally half. Everything else gets cut or the money gets printed. Those are the only options. Every other developed nation faces similar mathematics. Japan's debt to GDP ratio exceeds 250%. Italy, Greece, Spain, all structurally insolvent. Everyone trapped in the same debt spiral. Everyone pretending they can outrun mathematics. Wall 2, pension collapse. Public and private pensions promised returns of 7 to 8% annually. They're earning 3% in reality. The gap between promises and reality is measured in tens of trillions globally. Pension funds can't meet obligations, can't pay promised benefits. They're technically insolvent, but nobody admits it because admitting it triggers panic. So they keep pretending 7% returns are achievable, keep telling retirees their benefits are safe, keep hoping something changes before the truth becomes undeniable. 2027 is when baby boomers, the largest generation, are all fully retired, all drawing benefits, all depending on pensions that mathematically cannot pay what was promised. The demographic wave hits its peak. The ratio of workers to retirees collapses. The system breaks. Wall 3, demographic inversion. Fertility rates below replacement across the developed world. Not slightly below, catastrophically below. Japan, South Korea, Italy, Spain, Germany, all facing population decline. Aging populations. Fewer workers supporting more retirees. The economic model requires perpetual population growth. More young workers paying for older retirees. Pyramid scheme demographics. But the pyramid is inverting. More recipients, fewer payers. The math stops working. This isn't fixable quickly. You can't create 20-year-old workers overnight. Even if fertility rates recovered tomorrow, which they won't, you'd need 20 years before those children enter the workforce. The demographic collapse is locked in. The consequences are unavoidable. Wall 4, dollar reserve status erosion. For 50 years, the dollar dominated global trade. Petrodollar recycling, foreign central banks accumulating treasuries, global demand for dollars supporting American debt and spending. That system is cracking. Saudi Arabia pricing oil in yuan. BRICS developing alternative payment systems. Central banks buying record gold instead of treasuries. The exorbitant privilege is ending. The free ride is over. When dollar demand collapses, when foreign holders sell treasuries instead of buying, when dollars come home instead of staying abroad, America faces its reckoning. All those exported dollars flood back, creating domestic inflation, destroying purchasing power. Hyperinflation becomes possible, even likely, when the reserve currency loses that status. These four walls don't hit sequentially, they hit simultaneously. In 2027, the pension crisis, the debt service explosion, the demographic collapse, and the dollar's decline all converge. The system faces multiple existential threats at once, and there's no solution that fixes all four. What comes after you hit the wall? Stages 5 and 6, the breaking point and the reset. Stage 5 is the crack-up, the moment when collective delusion ends, when everyone simultaneously realizes the emperor has no clothes, when confidence in the currency, in the system, in the promises evaporates. This happened in Weimar Germany, happened in Zimbabwe, happened in Venezuela. Same pattern every time. Government tries printing its way out of debt. People initially accept it, then suddenly they don't. Confidence breaks. Currency collapses. Not gradually, instantly. The crack-up boom. Prices explode not because goods are scarce, but because money is worthless. People dump currency as fast as possible. Buy anything tangible, anything real. Because paper's burning and only real assets hold value. This phase is chaotic, violent, devastating for anyone holding paper wealth. Cash becomes trash, bonds become worthless, bank deposits evaporate, everything denominated in the dying currency goes to zero. But tangible assets soar: gold, silver, land, commodities, real things. Because they're not promises, they're actual wealth. And when paper promises die, real wealth becomes priceless. Stage 6 is the reset, the restructuring, the wealth transfer. Those who prepared, who converted paper to physical before the crack-up, survive. Those who didn't lose everything. Governments respond with bail-ins, capital controls, wealth confiscation, emergency measures that sound reasonable but mean your savings vanish. They'll take bank deposits, nationalize retirement accounts, impose currency controls, whatever it takes to preserve the system, even if it destroys the people. History shows this pattern repeats. Every major currency collapse followed by government seizure of private wealth. Gold confiscation in 1933, pension nationalizations in Argentina, bank bail-ins in Cyprus. The playbook is known, the sequence is predictable. So what do? How do you prepare for mathematical certainty when nobody wants to acknowledge it's coming? You act now. Before the wall, before the panic, before capital controls and bank holidays and emergency measures. Because preparation during calm is possible. Preparation during chaos is impossible. Move from paper to physical. Paper assets are promises. Paper wealth exists in databases. Can be frozen, taxed, confiscated, inflated away. Physical wealth can't be deleted with keystrokes, gold and silver, not ETFs, not certificates, not paper claims on metal. Actual physical metal in your possession. Because when the system resets, possession is everything. Paper claims on gold are still paper, productive assets, land, skills, tools, things that generate value regardless of currency. You can't eat gold, but you can grow food on land, can trade skills for necessities, can use tools to create relationships and community. Financial collapse is also social collapse. Networks matter. Trust matters. People who can rely on each other survive. Isolated individuals don't. This isn't doom prepping. This is acknowledging mathematics. Understanding that unsustainable systems eventually stop. Being positioned for the transition instead of being destroyed by it. The window is closing. Not closed yet, but closing. Every day closer to 2027 is a day closer to the wall. Every month of financial repression that continues is a month closer to the crack-up. You can see it coming. The numbers don't lie. 315 trillion in debt, negative real rates, collapsing demographics, dying reserve currency. These aren't opinions. They're measurements, facts, mathematics. And mathematics says 27 is when the can hits the wall. This is finance through time. We follow the money to show you that collapse isn't conspiracy, it's arithmetic. If you understand the mathematical facts in this video, comment below. Stage 4 doesn't last forever. Let's discuss in the comments with those who think the system can just keep printing money and saving us indefinitely.